Seasoned with Grace Unbox presents Tune Up Tuesdays. This live weekly event is here to provide you and your family with tools for stronger family relationships. And now, here are your hosts, Doctors Robert and Denise Davis.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tune Up Tuesdays presented by Seasoned with Grace Unbox. We hope you're ready to dive into today's subject, maintaining an active relationship with the key members of the family. So let's get started. Denise, it's your turn. Can you recap for us our subject matter?
I can do that. Okay, so we're still quoting from Murray Bowen, Family Therapy in Clinical Practice, page 436. When any key member of a family can accurately observe what is going on in their family, as well as observe the part they play in it, when they can control their own emotional reactions, when they can avoid counterattacking when they're provoked, and when they can maintain an active relationship with the other key members of their family without withdrawing, emotionally checking out, or becoming silent, the entire system will change in a series of predictable steps. This is the essence of producing change in your family's system. This is the method of coaching one person through the predictable functioning of their family system and supervising their efforts to modify their own functioning in all other relationships.
Last week we started a conversation about maintaining an active relationship with our families. And the main point that we've been discussing is being in control of our emotional reactions, our emotional responses. We do not want to give another person control over how we feel, think, act, or respond. And so we learned that in order to gain control, we need to get some practice, some practical advice, and some practical application in our own lives.
Right.
And here's the truth. Because we are so biologically, historically, and emotionally connected to our families, the best place to practice being the self that we want to be is in our families. So the best place to practice implementing the guiding principles of our life is within our families. So then withdrawing, cutting off, or distancing from our families robs us of the opportunity to become more emotionally mature. So we're actually hurting ourselves when we withdraw, distance, or cut off from our family.
Okay, well, Robert, let me address that. Last week, when we were talking about my relative Angie, I said that when the relationship becomes too toxic, I give her space.
And by the way, just so our viewers who didn't see last week, Angie is a pseudonym.
Fictitious.
It's a fictitious name. There's no family member named Angie. And we did that for anonymity's sake. Go ahead.
Okay. So we discussed that giving space is often a euphemism for withdrawing or distancing. The problem is that when the relationship interaction becomes too toxic, I need the space so that I can think more clearly about what I want to do in the relationship.
Okay, so Denise, and I get that. We talked about that last week, that your way of managing is, of course, giving some space. And I want to just address 3 points from that, and then we'll go into a discussion about it. First, when you say toxic, you use the term toxic, you're talking about when the relationship becomes too emotionally taxing.
Correct.
Yeah, when the relationship becomes too emotionally taxing. This distinction is important because emotionally toxic doesn't necessarily mean emotionally hostile, or emotionally taxing rather, doesn't necessarily mean emotionally hostile.
Right.
And what do I mean by that is this right here. You can be in a relationship that just pulls so much out of you, but it's not a hostile relationship. It very well may be a person who is very needy, always seems to require a lot of your attention, a lot of your affirmation and petting. So that relationship is emotionally taxing.
Emotional energy.
Yeah, that's a good phrase. I like that. It takes a lot of emotional energy. I forgot about that term. It takes a lot of emotional energy to be in the relationship. So I just want to make sure for our viewers that we make that distinction. When we say stuff like toxic, we're not talking about that it's necessarily hostile.
Okay.
It just means that it requires an awful lot to maintain the relationship. The second point you said is creating space so you can think more clearly about what you want to do in the relationship. If that is your reason, then you need to be sure you are conscious about two things.
Okay.
One, when are you going to reestablish emotional and relationship connection with the person? And the other thing that you really need to be conscious about is the longer you spend apart, the more damaging it is to your goal of becoming emotionally mature.
Oh.
So the longer you spend apart, the more damaging it becomes to your goal of becoming emotionally mature. And there's a third thing that I want to share. And the third point is this. Are you using that time to identify who you are and how you want to function in the relationship? And then the fourth point is, are you using that time to focus on where Angie screwed up or where Angie is becoming too much to handle in the relationship? Or are you using this time to work on becoming a better self? And so let's just do this, because we're trying to cut down on the time that we use for our Tune Up Tuesdays. So let's just go through this. We're going to go through it one by one. I'm going to ask you the question. So Denise, what do you mean when you say toxic? Because you use that term. When you say the relationship becomes toxic, what does that mean to you? I gave a couple of definitions. What did it mean to you, though, when you say toxic?
Well, I mean, just like you said, it's not hostile. It's just, it becomes too much, because I feel as if talking to the person is just constantly addressing the person's behavior. And then, it just becomes too much for me.
Okay.
Or I just don't want to deal with it at the time.
Are there times when it does become hostile?
No.
Okay, so there's never a time when it becomes hostile. The two of y'all are bickering and going back and forth, any of that stuff. Okay, so that was the first question. Next thing I want to ask is, are you creating space so that you can think more clearly about what you want to do in the relationship?
It's more about me thinking more clearly about the words I want to use, so that my natural reaction or my automatic response doesn't create a bigger problem, and then we end up never addressing what the issue is.
Oh, so you're thinking, how do I make sure that when I address this, the issue is the issue and not my response to the issue?
Right, exactly.
I want to pause it for a second, because that is something to really consider. When you're having conflict or you're trying to resolve an issue, you want to make sure that the issue is the issue and not not how you respond or how the individual responds. It's very important about being focused, and we'll talk about that as we move along. A third question I want to ask you in relation to that is, are you using that time to identify who you are and how you want to function in the relationship? And so we talked about our guiding principles.
Okay. It's funny you say that, because now that you've articulated it this way, I think I have, because one of the things I've thought about, even as I hit 40 and above, I've always thought
You look good over 40, girl.
Well,
I don't feel bad, so.
Well, I've always thought I'm going to be me no matter how people behave.
Okay.
So if I'm going to be a nice person, I'm a nice person. It doesn't matter if someone is unkind or not. So if Angie made snide remarks or not, I'm going to be the person who does not make snide remarks. So I guess I do that.
Okay. Man, this is good. This is good. See, you see the benefit of being married to me?
Oh, okay. Practice.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect. And I say, here's the fourth one.
Okay.
Excuse me again. Are you using that time to focus on where Angie screwed up or Angie's problems, or are you using that time to work on becoming a better self based on your guiding principles? Just as similar to what we talked about before. Are you using that time to really say, this is who I am, here are the guiding principles of my life? Or do you find yourself spending a lot of that time thinking about Angie, her responses, where she annoys you, or whatever that may be?
I think I must say, admittingly, it's 50-50.
Okay.
I do spend time thinking, oh, Angie won't change. So even if Angie doesn't change, I'm going to be a better person. Not because of Angie, but because of me. But I do also think about how annoying Angie is, and about how annoying the comments are that Angie makes.
And you and I know Angie's real name, and so you and I have had conversations about Angie over the years.
Okay.
And That's one of the reasons why I felt comfortable asking you these series of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and I want to share this with our viewers. One of the things we want to make sure that we're looking at what are our guiding principles, because it's not about how do I respond to someone else, but just how do I respond because of who I am. Mm-hmm. And so that becomes across the board, regardless of who I interact with. I was doing a relationship session at a company that I work for. That I contract with, rather. Mm-hmm. And today I was sharing with them, when a person is a liar, mm-hmm. if one of your core values of your life, guiding principles of your life, is that I will speak with integrity and truthfulness. You don't say, well, I will speak with integrity and truthfulness when I'm speaking to someone who's truthful. So yeah. I speak with integrity and truthfulness even when I'm speaking to someone who is a compulsive liar. Mm-hmm. I would, if one of my guiding principles is that I do not yell or raise my voice at a person mm-hmm. when I'm upset, mm-hmm. then it's not to say, well, I don't yell or raise my voice if they maintain a calm demeanor. Right. But even if they're yelling and fussing at me, I still maintain a calm demeanor, because these are the guiding principles of my life. This is who I am. I remember when you gave us the I want exercises, mm-hmm. I want to be. And we listed all the various things that we want to be. Mm-hmm. And, that's what I need to guide my life off of, is who I want to be. And this is why it is so vitally important for us to stay in contact with our family members so that we can continue to work on these principles.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Digress, but I want to share a story from today too.
Go ahead.
It's funny, great minds think alike, or we've mm-hmm. been married for a long time, but today I was passing someone who literally was walking past me as I was unloading some things for work, and they didn't say anything to me as they passed by. And I thought to myself, I'm a person who says hello, and whether or not people say hello, I'm going to say hello, because I want to be a kind person. Having lived in Louisiana for so long, it became a part of me to say hello to people. So whether or not someone initiates an hello or not, I'm going to say hello.
So when I'm in close proximity, one of my guiding principles is that when I'm in close proximity with an individual in a mm-hmm. room, elevator, or whatever, I'm going to speak to them.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, because that's who I am. I am a friendly person.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
You are.
Oh,
thank you. You're a very friendly person. I'm glad to be married to such a friendly person.
Oh, thank you.
And you do a wonderful job of entertaining people as well. When folk come to our home, you do a great job of entertaining and making our guests feel welcome.
Thank you.
So that must really be one of your core values and guiding principles. Quite proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, Denise, that's our show for this week.
What?
Yeah. And guess what? There's only one question for our viewers, and I won't even put it on the screen.
Wow. Okay.
Take it away.
All right. So here's the question. When you and someone close to you have a major disagreement, who do you focus on? Yourself, or your guiding principle, or the actions of the other person?
All right, read that one more time.
Okay. So when you or someone else who's close to you have a major disagreement, who do you focus on? Do you focus on yourself and your guiding principle, or do you focus on the actions of the other person?
And that is a very simple one. You know the answer to that one. You can put it in your journal, boom, and be done with it. It's as simple as can be.
All right, so we'll be back next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tune Up Tuesdays, because even the smoothest running families need a
Tune Up Tuesday.
Tune Up Tuesday. See you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching Tune Up Tuesday. You can connect with us on Facebook or check out our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. Again, thank you for watching, and tune in next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another insightful episode of Tune Up Tuesday. Seasoned with Grace Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.